some idea. That's the first thought. That's never, ever let her rip, man.
Oh, no. I'm way too refined, Edwin. Way too refined. Absolutely. And just on that post that I made earlier on, and I referred to it, and you've referred to it too, that the latest on the ABS data showed that the population rose by more than 400,000 over the last 12 months, of which roughly 300,000 were actually from migration, 100,000 from natural, in other words, new people being born relative to those dying in Australia. So there is a significant rise in population. In fact, over the last few years, we've had more than 2 million additional people coming into the country. That's putting a significant demand on property, of course. And it's just worth highlighting that the unemployment statistics did rise just a little bit. But of course, the ABS is trying to play catch up with what the population statistics should look like. So they keep making adjustments. So in a way, I'm not very clear about whether that data is good data or not good data. But it does seem to fly in the face of the politicians who were claiming that migration is significantly down, and we're getting migration under control, and we're reducing the number of students, all of those things. The truth is that when you actually look at it in the context of property, there is very significant demand. And it's very interesting if you look carefully at when people migrate to Australia. The really interesting question is, where do they land? Where do they come in? And guess what? A lot of them come in through New South Wales. And so that tells you something quite important. Now, they don't always stay there. They might end up going across to the west or somewhere else. But I think it's quite important to understand that this migration pulse, which is continuing, and will continue for as long as airlines can continue to go flying, although, of course, with the price of airfares going up and the fact that airline operations are now perhaps being modified because of the costs, we might see that changing. But in the short term, at least, we've got this very strong migration pulse. That's going to put some support, not uniformly under all types of property, by the way, because it's interesting. When you look carefully at the migrants and those who come in with cash, they tend to buy houses rather than high-rise. And they tend to be a little bit more discerning, actually, than some local buyers because of the fact that they've actually got a different aspiration. And then, of course, you do have other people who are coming into the rental sector, one of the reasons why the rental market is so tight at the moment. And in fact, tomorrow I've got Lee Van Onselen coming on. We're going to talk again about the property impact and how the migration thing feeds into that. So it's a really fascinating thing, but I think you're right. I think chill out, just see how this plays out. Don't get swept up with these high-level headlines, all doom and gloom everywhere or whatever. It's a much, much more complicated picture. And I think it's important that people really take the time to think about things from their own perspective and to make more logical decisions. I'm a great believer in taking the chill pill and just recognize that, we have a lot of noise and a lot of, fury out there, but there are some factors to weigh up when you actually think about how the dynamics of the property market may play out ahead.
Well, 100%, Martin. And this is something else that we need to consider, and that is, don't forget, there's on or about 132,000 expats living in the Middle East. Now, how many of them are coming back to Australia? Now, that's just the Middle East. If things scale up and they move further afield into Europe, well then, we've got how many expats are living and PR holders are living in Europe. And then you go then you take that a little bit further, and you start talking about the Asia Pacific region, and we go back to it's jolts and a surge. It's like getting a hook across the head by Mike Tyson. It really hurts. So it's not that I've been hit by Mike Tyson, but you know what I mean. And he comes in, and if there's sudden jolts where you least expected, and they move markets. But we go back